All right, we are now live on Facebook. It's Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate, guys, and we have some of the best here on every week, and they they share with you guys their opinions on what's going on with the real estate world right now, and we really just want to share our tips and tricks on what you guys can do. And each week we have a new topic. This week, we have our topic being misleading information in the real estate industry. We all know with everything, that there's always misleading information out there that's going to try and lead you astray. And we're here to set you on the right path. So in doing that, we are going to go back and forth between realtors and lenders. Each week we have realtors and lenders join in on this conversation because both are very pertinent to the real estate transaction as well as title. Lucy McGuire. If you don't know me, my name is Lucy McGuire with Arrow Title Services, and we run this meeting every week. So feel free to join in every week and hear what we have to say. So we will start off with our first person. It's going to be Alannah. So I am spotlighting your video now, Alannah, and feel free to join in on the topic.
All right, everybody, good morning. My name is Alannah Ghazel. I'm with eXp Realty. And thank you, Lucy, for hosting this. I'm really excited about this topic. There are so many common misconceptions, whether you're a buyer or a seller or an investor, wherever you come from, there are definitely myths that we're going to debunk today as a unit. The one that I want to really focus on for a quick minute is it's buyer oriented. So often when buyers don't have experience buying and they hear so many terms being flung around, a couple of the really big ones that are super important and get confused all the time is closing costs and down payment. They're familiar with the opportunity to take advantage of FHA, which, could get them a bond, help cover either their down payment or their closing costs. But they tend to assume that it's the same thing until those are separated by that relationship with a professional. It's the professional who's going to advise what each of them are. And, their communication with their lender and their agent partner is going to make really, really clear how the contract is written, what sort of terms are necessary for their unique situation getting financed, because they're all a little bit different. And they're all subjective. Closing costs, for example, are subjective to your role. Are you on the seller's side? Are you on the buyer's side? How much of it are you financing? It's a very subjective thing. The terms of the contract also impact that significantly. Your agent could hopefully be working out some sort of arrangement based on what your needs are to make sure that contract they're writing on your behalf is serving you. And the sale price agreed on is really where those percentages for those numbers start. Your down payment is based on that sale price. So you can't ask a professional, well, what do I have to have saved in order to do this? Well, that depends very much on your personal situation. So let's get to know you better. So I wanted to make a really good quick point to separate those two things. And that's what I wanted to focus on. That's my misconception.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thank you, Alannah. I like that. All righty. And next we have Cristi. I will highlight your video now and you're up.
Hi, I'm Cristi Hernandez with Next Home Treasure Coast. What I really wanted to address with everyone is kind of interesting. The real estate agent is a waste of time and obsolete because everything is online. Well, that's actually not true. We have the ability to find our properties online, and we have the ability to find more properties than most sites out there that they contain. You will find for sale by owners as well. And there's also sometimes a listing may come up before it even hits the market. An agent might know about it and be able to tell you about it. We like to share it with all of our agents out there and co-op with them. However, there are times that you may find a house and that agent can help you through that entire process. The process is when the agent becomes the most part of the transaction. Finding the house is fun and glorified, and it looks pretty and easy. However, when you get to the contract and you start with the contract and you go to inspections, appraisal, approvals, and closing, that's where all your speed bumps are going to come. into play into the transaction. And that's where your real estate agent comes to play a big role of purchasing your real estate.
Love that. Thank you, Cristi.
You're welcome.
All right, so next we're going to go to the lending side. So first up we have Tony, and I'm spotlighting your video now. Go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Tony Garcia, CrossCountry Mortgage here. Alannah, you stole my first one that I had. Closing costs, obviously, as lenders. I know the other ones on the call will definitely say that's one of the talks that most clients come to us and just are blindsided by because they think just down payment. Cristi as well. I'll be honest, I've worked some on the lending side that were for sale by owners and the client dealing with it itself. It's not the most fun, but the other one I want to get into from a lending perspective again, the biggest thing is rates. Interest rates, obviously we know they're really low right now. However, don't be sold just on an interest rate. You need to understand there's more to an interest rate than just your rate itself. There's a cost of that rate. So when it comes to a lender, different lenders have origination fees, underwriting fees, processing fees, and they also have what's called points. Points is basically doing something to be able to buy your rate typically down to get a lower interest rate. However, oftentimes some people out there will kind of disclose a rate to you. Oh, I can get you a 3.25% when someone else was giving you a 3.5%. What you need to know is the cost of the rate as a whole, because sometimes that 3.125 compared to a 3.25 could cost you $5,000 and you don't even know it. So get the full picture, get the full scenario. Don't just stop at what's my interest rate. Ask for your rate, ask for also the total cost of that rate, because it does. It makes a big difference. And the longer you're in the home, the better it is to have a lower rate. But if it's short term, sometimes buying points of paying $3,000 to $5,000 may not be in your best interest. So just get the full picture when you're looking at rate of the total cost that you're paying for that rate.
Love that. Thank you, Tony. All right. All right, so then next is Dana. All right, spotlighting your video now.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Dana Manenti. I'm with Guaranteed Rate Affinity. My hot topic is the misconceptions around VA buyers and a VA loan. And it is said that a VA buyer doesn't have enough skin in the game because they're entitled to 100% financing, which is 100% untrue. They're entitled to that benefit for the sacrifices that they've made. Another along the same lines of VA is that the appraisal is going to come in low, or it's going to have a lot of problems. Basically, a VA appraisal wants to be sure of three things: that the house is safe, sound, and sanitary, which, as all of us representing buyers or sellers, you want to make sure that the home that you're bringing another person into is safe, sound, and sanitary. So it shouldn't be anything crazy. You know, if there's black mold in the house and you're trying to conceal that, you know, it should be the same for a VA buyer or a seasoned buyer, first-time homeowner. So my tip is to not be scared of a VA buyer, not be scared of a VA appraisal. Just do the right thing for your veterans and active military, and everybody would be happy.
Great, love that.
Nice.
Thank you. All right, so then we're going to go back to the realtor perspective, and we have Antonella. I am spotlighting your video now. Oh, you're still muted.
I know. Hi, I'm here. I had to unmute myself. Hi guys, this is Antonella Zervopoulos here with Atlantic Shores Realty expertise. And one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about, sorry if you hear myself, is pre-qualification letters. I end up talking to clients more often than not, asking, oh, can we go see a house? Can we go see that house? I like it. I just want to see it, and then we'll figure it out. Well, it's not just I want to go see it and then we'll figure it out, because us as professionals on this side of the transaction, we do want to know what what you can buy, and not just for the simple factor of, oh, okay, I can show you a house at this price point. But there are other things that come into play that when you go to purchase a house, we do communicate with the lender. And those things are insurance and taxes and, sometimes even HOA fees. So as an example, I got a phone call yesterday for somebody that, looked at a house that it was listed at 178, but it had HOA fees in it. So all of a sudden, that pre-qualification letter wasn't good anymore. So again, you do need a pre-qualification letter, not because we want to know how much you can spend, but because we want to guide you in the right direction when you're purchasing a house. So that would be my tip for the day. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Awesome insight. All right, so then next we have Katey. Go ahead and spotlight you. And you're up.
Hey, so great tips here. The myths in home buying and home selling, there are so many of them, and I don't want to duplicate any, but I definitely, for Tony, for sale by owners on that topic, like, they don't know what they don't know, unfortunately. So, without representation, they're going at it on their own and using, out of date or non-existent contracts in order to move the ball forward. So I'll just kind of, continue on with that. For sale by owners, we'll probably see more of them in the market as the market continues to accelerate, as it has been. We see more people out there with for sale by owner signs. The myth that I wanted to touch on is that they think that there's a misconception that they're actually saving money by not paying a commission to a real estate professional to get it sold for them and to get them from contract to closing and all the things in between. So they actually could end up losing money in the negotiation process because they're not skilled negotiators and they don't know everything like we do. We hope that we know enough to keep them safe and to get them a good value for their property. And in not using a real estate professional, you're probably going to have to substitute that with a real estate attorney, which could cost you way more than a commission to a real estate professional. So, that's kind of my tip for now. And if there are any others that come up maybe after the fact, I'll chime in after everyone's spoken. So,
yep.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Love it. Thank you, Katey.
Nice job.
All right, so next up we have Codi, and I am spotlighting you now.
I'll mute myself. Well, it's your favorite Codi from Bourgeois Real Estate Group. I guess my tip would be on the rental side. I want to kind of touch on what Cristi was talking about, not needing a realtor. I've done enough rentals lately. People have this misconception that they can do it on their own. They don't need a real estate agent for that. But I've done enough of them to know kind of, and I've dealt with a number of the agents on that side that I know what they expect, what to give them in order to get a yes out of them, in order to get them into the property. I mean, there's a lot of, there's a misconception with application fees and all the other fees that they want. Some people, they look at, wanting them to have 3 times the rent and income as outrageous, whereas that's like basically industry standard. So it's a lot. It's going to cost them more time and money to not use a real estate agent than it will to use one. So I mean, and the commissions, some of them aren't really great, but it's going to save them a lot of time and a lot of headache if they have somebody who knows exactly what they're doing. So that would be my tip.
Absolutely, love that. Thank you, Codi. All right. So then next, we're going back to the lending side of things, and we are going to Amanda. So
Hey.
your video now. You're up.
I think I've unmuted myself, yes.
You have.
Hey guys, Amanda Foster, and I'm with the Sterling Mortgage Group that's part of Element Funding. I wanted to really follow on from what Tony said with regards to misleading information that can be given out with regards to interest rates. Don't always go, as Tony said, face value on the lowest introductory rate that's been offered. Always make sure that you speak to a professional, you read the small print, because typically what's offered as a low interest rate may not be something that the client is eligible for, because there could be a certain credit score that they need to approve for that rate. They may be looking to purchase a second home or an investment property, and this rate may only be available for a primary residence. So always make sure you read the small print. And another one, still sticking with rates, is rates that offer to pay all of the closing costs. Again, make sure that you get a comparison, because even though you may not have closing costs to pay, typically the rate has been loaded to cover some of those costs. So make sure that you get those comparisons and speak to the professionals. And that's it.
Great. Love that addition. Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome.
All righty. And then next up is Carol. Spotlighting your video now. Go ahead.
Hey guys, Carol Dols here from Gateway Mortgage. I'm kind of going to parlay off of what the other guys were talking about with rates, but mine's going to be a different spin on that with the financing. One of the misconceptions that I see all the time is it has a little bit to do with how mortgages in general are advertised on the web, or some advertisements that you may see that say 100% financing. And if you read the small print, it's not 100% first trust. It might be a first and a second, excluding a VA loan or a USDA loan. I'm going to put that aside because those are 100% financing. But some of the calls that I get also is, I saw this house online. I'm not going to say where they saw it, but, oh, I can afford this house. The payment comes across online. For an example, it looks like your payment's going to be $1,000 for that house. And by the time we get it and run all the numbers, their payment's like $1,500. It's the misconception of advertising financing in general, which is why it's really important to talk to an experienced loan officer that will put them in the program that's going to work for them, and then tell them all about how that financing works when they're seeing 100% financing. Because I work with those first-time home buyers that do the bond, and every one of those programs is a second mortgage, regardless of whether it's the grant or, whatever program they pick. It is not technically 100% financing in that aspect where they think, oh, I don't have to put any money down, but you got two mortgages. Does that make sense? That's my 2 cents.
Like it. Love it. Thank you. All right. And then going back to the realtor side of things, we have Rodina next, and I'm spotlighting her video now.
Hi guys, it's Rodina with Keller Williams Realty of Port St. Lucie. So happy to be here today and thankful to be a part of you all. Today we're discussing misleading topics or misleading information. And one thing I wanted to address, I often run across a lot of buyers. I work with a lot of buyers, and I run across a lot of my buyers asking me about purchasing a resale rather than purchasing a new construction home rather than purchasing a resale home. And I just wanted to kind of address that with some people, because a lot of buyers, they're not very experienced with the process and how things work. So they hear from other people that it may be cheaper to buy a new construction home rather than to buy a resale home. And I believe that there are affordable ways to buy new construction homes out there today. However, it's very important that you sit down with the builders and discuss finances and just have all your ducks in a row before you take that route, because there are times that it could be a little bit more pricier going the new construction route. That's a whole different type of loan, and things could you know, I've noticed that some of my buyers that decide to buy new construction, you know, they have to pay for certain things like the faucet or a toilet. You know, those are extra expenses that you may not be really thinking of, you know, at the time, but they do add up. So I just wanted to let everyone know that that's watching, and you know, let those that are interested in purchasing a home one day just understand that it's very important that you sit down with a professional, you go over finances before you decide to make a decision to take a route of either resale or new construction, because they're two different worlds. And it's important to find out all the information before you jump into it.
Great, love that. Glad you brought in about the new construction. That's a great topic. All right, so next we have Peter. I'm spotlighting your video now, and you're up.
How's everybody doing? Thank you, Lucy. My name is Peter with the Hunt Group, powered by Keller Williams, Port St. Lucie. And today I am going to be going over the investor side. So there's quite a few things that people think that you need to have as prerequisites to become investors. But I just want to kind of discredit a lot of that. But mostly I want to focus on the things that are most important about investing and where realtors come in where it comes to investing. So first of all, people think that our industry is only a brick and mortar, and that's just untrue. So yes, we do sell residential properties, residential income properties, and also commercial properties, but also things like estate sales. And if you really think about it, and everybody here can probably back me up on this, there is a lot of people that are connected to real estate professionals, and mainly vendors, lenders, title companies. I mean, you name it, we have had a sit-down conversation, talked about all of their business and what it is that they can bring to our business to make it better. So, I mean, if you're thinking about doing something on the investing side, even if it's not related to real estate, you could reach out to a real estate professional, and they may have just that exact person that you need to help you get started and get going. For instance, if you wanted to do an estate sale, you can go through a realtor and they can help you put that estate sale together so that you can take care of selling off the items that you need to be sold off properly and through a broker. Next, I want to go through a little bit lighter side, and a lot of people believe that if they sit in front of the TV long enough and watch these reality TV shows, that they'll be able to flip houses and make money right off the bat. So, yeah, TV is not reality, okay? There's a lot of things that come into play with these reality TV shows, and a lot of people don't have those kind of reinforcing elements in their own life to do things like that. So if you sit down with a real estate professional, not only can you go over your finances, what your expenses are, and what it is that you could really do on the investment side, but they could also put you in front of those people that could help you get your investment or your investing started properly. And last but not least, I want to touch on this because it's like a super huge thing. Flipping houses builds your wealth. That is not always true. It's not just flipping houses. You could flip houses and make a good amount of money, but being the way that the market is and the way your expenses are, what it is that you could put forward to flip that house, maybe it would behoove you to probably purchase a rental at first and get that passive income, build it up long enough so that you can start, you know, an endeavor like flipping houses. And if you want to talk about that further, you know, you can always reach out to me, but please just know that if you have anything that is related to investing or anything that is related to business, a lot of times it's probably a good idea to get in touch with a real estate professional, because we have had those talks with a various number of businesses, and we may be able to connect you to the right person, even if it's not to purchase a home or business.
Great, love that. Thank you, Peter. And I'm I'm going to open up the floor where everybody can kind of, say if they have any additions to the topic after hearing everybody speak. I actually do want to add something, though, on the title side of things, because I've gotten this question quite a few times in the past few weeks. So I do want to clarify that, a lot of people, whether it's buyer or seller, title insurance is a negotiable part of the process. So there is no mandate in any county for any particular side to pay title insurance. There are sometimes it can be customary in a county for the seller or the buyer to pay title, but there is nothing that mandates it. And I just wanted to make that clear because I have had that question come a few times. It is just something that is negotiable. So I just wanted to make that clear. And if does anybody have anything to add to our discussion about misleading information after hearing everybody speak that they want to add? Cody? All right.
Can I touch really quick on what you were just saying, Lucy?
Sure, go ahead.
So the standard that I've recognized and experienced here in our local market is usually that the seller has the opportunity to pay their title and choose their title unless the buyer has a specific preference and reasoning for that. Around here, if that's something to be negotiated, that is the buying agent's responsibility to have that conversation with the listing agent prior to writing up an offer. That's the proper way to do that.
Absolutely, yes. And we've had a lot of people ask, because sometimes there are some people who think that it's only the seller that can pay, and they think that there's a mandate with that, but there isn't. So I just wanted to clarify that. And also, yeah, it can be customary in our area for seller to pay, but honestly, the contracts that we get in are about half and half, like with buyer paying and seller paying. So it's pretty in the middle from what we experience on our side specifically, at least. So yeah. Cody, you had something to add? Go ahead.
So I was telling Katey, one of the houses that we just listed, I had a buyer come up to me and ask about the house. And he also himself has a house that he's trying to sell. Man, he was telling me about an experience he had with his current realtor. Wasn't quite pleasant, I imagine, because they've had the house listed since January, and we're now in June, and they have yet to even have an open house. So my suggestion would be to kind of reinforce to people that just because one realtor didn't do what they were supposed to do doesn't mean the next one won't. So, just look at your options, look at what they offer, and you should be able to make an informed decision based on what you see. So don't just lean on one person and think that's the end all be all. So that would be another tip.
I like that. I think that applies for lenders too. Go ahead, Katey.
I was just going to add to that, even if you have a friend in real estate and they are not in your area, they're not the local expert, they probably know someone that is. So we not only, like Peter was saying, we are the source of resources, we're also a source of referrals. So if you've got a property across the state, I've got a contact that I know is a great realtor through the Women's Council or Young Professionals Network or Florida Realtors or other networking, referral bases that we use. And I can get you connected with somebody on the other side of the state. And yes, I do get a referral fee, so it's a win-win, but I'm connecting you with somebody who's going to get the job done. So we are definitely your source of resources. A lot of people don't understand that we know who's doing good business in other counties through our interactions with realtors across the state and our networking and calls like this across the state. So see us as the source of resources.
Absolutely. And, as you guys can see, we're all working together here. Yeah, we have a very competitive business, but at the same time, we have a very connected business as well, where sometimes we can reach out to each other to get questions to answers. And, not everyone knows everything, and that's okay. Like, you know, so having the connections that we have, as you can see, we're on this platform, we're multiple realtors and multiple lenders on here, and we're just educating you on what's going on. So never be afraid to reach out to someone local and get an opinion from them, and maybe they can help you. Dana, go ahead.
Yes, great advice, Lucy, absolutely. I also wanted to follow up on the builder conversation. And it is known that builders incentivize their clients to use their lender. So I would just give some advice, maybe shop around and just compare with the builder's lender and another lender, just to make sure that they're not building in the concessions in your interest rate or other things. Another thing is to watch out for property taxes, because the property taxes that they go off of are based on undeveloped land, just a lot. And then once the house is built on it, it could jump up from, you know, a couple $100 a year to, you know, $6,000 a year. So that would absolutely impact your monthly payment. So
great addition.
Double check.
Great addition. And what she said about mortgage companies being lumped into there, that also goes for title insurance too, or not. Title insurance itself is state regulated, but the fees, the other fees might be bulked in there as well, because they have in-house title and mortgage. Alannah, you had a addition?
Yes, I did. I love that, Dana. And just the way that you recommend having, you know, having a look at multiple different builders, having a conversation with multiple different professionals, that is so important across the board when you're building your team who's going to get you through your purchasing journey. You are connecting with an agent. Don't just choose the first agent. Have an interview process. Have a couple of, even if they're really broad, have a couple of really big questions, ask them, and then let your agents either sell themselves and their services or let them walk the plank. I mean, either way, that answers to those questions are going to really showcase the kind of connections, the kind of network, and the kind of way that they do business. And that applies to lenders too. It's so important because you're building this team around you who's getting you from start to finish, and they are what's going to shape your experience a lot more than the actual inventory.
Absolutely. Communication is key, and finding your person and your people and your team that's going to help you through this very complicated process. This isn't, you know, people who try and sell their houses on their own. Yes, I mean, you can do it, but having the professional there to help you are going to guide you through this process that is, there's a lot of information. As we're sharing with you each week, there's so much information out there, and you have to be guided properly. That's what we're here for. So, you know, I can't stress it enough. You know, having your team that's going to be behind you and educate you and help you know the process is the most important thing, communication. And if someone isn't doing the job properly and you see those signs before you address it, if it's not fixed, move on, you know, or whatever it might be, you know, just like Alannah said, interview process. Anything else? No? All right. So then we are going to go on to our segment of your number one tip, because this is top tips in real estate, right? So your number one tip for the week for our viewers. We're going to go back in order and you guys can share from there. So Alannah, go ahead. Your number one tip.
I'm not gonna beat the whole interview you're professional anymore, but I stand by that. That's so important. I would say, get a sense for what your next step looks like. Envision where you want your purchase to take you. What do you want that lifestyle to look like? How do you want your family situated? Whatever's important to you, there's a picture in there somewhere. And if you can find that picture and be able to express it to the team that's helping you with that shopping process, they're that much more empowered to find you the right choices and streamline your search process.
Love that. Tony, you're up.
Sorry, I wasn't ready for that. I was taking a drink. I forgot Cristi.
It's okay.
Bad timing. Bad
How
timing.
dare you
So,
take a drink of your water?
I know a lot of what we've been doing here is giving advice to, or our tip to simply buyers and people looking at real estate, but I know this call is more than that. It's about real estate as a whole. So this tip is more towards lenders like myself, realtors like your guys' selves, title companies. It's the biggest thing is we are here to educate and be experts to our clients. We've sat on here numerous times and we sit here and we say, you know what? We want them to go local, go local, go local. Agree with that 100%. But the only way they're going to keep coming back local and we can keep them off these websites and going online is by treating them right. They're not a transaction. What we're doing here, everybody on this call, I know I've met numerous and worked with numerous people on this call. Haven't worked with everybody, but I know through truly what we're doing here is we're trying to build up everything together. Yes, are we all different brokerages? Are we all different lenders? We are, but we're trying to educate as a whole. We're in this together. We don't need to badmouth other people on what they're doing. If you're sitting there and somebody comes to me and badmouths another lender, personally, I avoid it at all costs that I can, because honestly, if there's reputation out there about people locally that are not the best or whatever else, if we as realtors and we as lenders kind of keep feeding into that, they're going to want to go online. They're not going to want to work with us. In the end, we're all in this together. And if we can keep this team camaraderie going, it's only going to build strength within our local industry to make them come back. So if you're getting treated, go to the client side of this. If you're getting treated like a transaction, whether it's a realtor or a lender, if you're just another number to them, go somewhere else. You should not be treated like a number. You should be treated like they're trying to build a relationship to where you're going to call them again whenever you have questions. So if you're getting treated, somebody feels like you're just not giving the time of day and they don't want to talk to you, I guarantee everybody on here can say there's certain times a day you can't take a phone call every second. You can't respond to a text every 5 minutes. However, I do my best. If I'm in meetings and can, at least send a text, let a client know, hey, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you back in an hour and a half. Can I call you later today? You have to have, even if it's an email, letting them know. Communication is key. If you're just not hearing back from a realtor or a lender, it is time to move on and go with somebody. But my bigger goal, and I know I rambled on here, it's just coming together like this, truly to let people know we're strong together. And if we're not, other people are going to go elsewhere, and online's the easiest way to go. So we have to build it up from within like we're doing right here.
Wow, Tony, I think we all loved what you just had to say, I'm sure. So,
yes,
geez, I'm sorry, Dana, you have to follow that.
Let's just stop the meeting right here. We're all done there. He should have mic dropped after he said that too.
I feel for you, Dana. Good luck.
So I just want to follow on with my misconception earlier, and also piggyback what Tony's saying. If you are a veteran or active duty military and you are being encouraged to go conventional FHA or use a loan other than a VA, change your realtor, change your lender, do the right thing, and so again, with all of us here professionals, definitely encourage the right thing. Let the buyer make a decision. This is your cost VA, this is your interest rate VA, these are your costs the other way. So, it's not our place to make a decision for a veteran to not use their benefits. So just do the right thing.
Absolutely. Love that. And I want to make a quick note to anybody watching, pay attention to the people that are on here, because they are taking their time out of their day to educate you guys. And it's we're pouring our hearts and souls out here. So just pay attention. It's, I appreciate you guys really being here, truly and honestly. Antonella, you're next. Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
Sorry. I was going to say thank you, Lucy, also for what you're doing and, highlighting all of us in this nice forum and giving us the opportunity to, like everybody's doing, highlight all of these tips and all these things that, set us apart in a way from, I guess everybody else, or just, you know, giving this information that all of a sudden becomes like obsolete, or everybody thinks that they know and they don't. And sorry, lost track. But yeah, I just wanted to go back a little bit from what Alannah was saying, and the fact that you need to interview your real estate agent, whether you're buying or selling, because, you know, there are real estate agents out there that are going to provide the information to you, and some real estate agents that are not, or they're, you know, you might have to ask more than one question. So just don't be afraid to ask the question. Just be there with them and see how they answer your question, how they answer, how they handle the situation, and then make the decision from there. So that would be my tip.
Love that. Never be afraid to ask questions. So
Nope.
super true. All right, so next is Katey.
Hey, so Katey Bourgeois with the Bourgeois Real Estate Group. I forgot to say that earlier. So going back to questions that we get from buyers, right? Maybe the number one top tip for this session for me would be the question about, or the perspective of, the longer a home is on the market, the more negotiable a seller will be with that price. And that is false. So especially right now, I think it's timely to discuss with the general public, the buyers out there and the sellers, that we have had a little bit of a delay in being able to go out and see those properties. People are now coming back onto the market. So that 30, 60, maybe 90 days extra on the market is not really, it should not be a deterrent, and it should not be a goal for a buyer to come in and try to negotiate down a price based on the time on the market right now, or anytime, but specifically right now.
Love that. Thank you, Katey. All right, and then next is Codi. Top tip.
I guess I'm just gonna have to touch on what everybody else was talking about here. I mean, I want to thank you for having me here. You know, just like you can Google something, you can contact any one of us and get the answers that you need. Google might not give it to you as good as we can. And like, you know, our friend Peggy said, you know, there's no substitute for experience. So, you know, find out what your goals are and ask us how we're going to get you there. We should be able to give you an answer. We should be able to give you a path. You know, hold our feet to the fire. Ask as many questions as you can. You know, pay attention to whether or not we answer the telephone or text you back. You know, pay attention to if we are going to go that extra mile to get you where you need to be. You know, if your person's not doing that for you, it's time to move on. So we're here for you. We are your source of resources, and you know, just you know, do your due diligence and trust us. So
Awesome.
That would be my.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Codi. That was great. All right, so Amanda, you're up next.
I just want to piggyback what Tony said earlier. It's imperative that you do your research, and I'm a great believer, people by people, and I always like to deal with people that treat me the same way that I like to be treated. So looking at people returning phone calls, how you've spoken to, it's just so important. And that you don't get that personal touch when you go online and apply to these online lenders, you know, and cut out the realtor. So it is so important that you have that local relationship. Another tip that I would also add, and something that we do at the Sterling Mortgage Group, is because we are a local company, we also make sure that we have local panels of appraisal companies. So we have local appraisal companies that are in the area. So we had a case last week where somebody had gone online, they'd used an appraisal company, it had been downvalued by over 50,000. They came to us. It was a nice, easy case. We sent it out to a local appraiser, and it actually appraised for 5,000 more than what they were purchasing it for. So it's so important to be local. So important.
Yes,
And that's my
I actually just had a conversation with a friend of mine last night about appraisals.
There you go.
Yep, being under appraised. Yeah, that's a good one. Carol, you're up next.
Am I? Can you see me?
We can.
Okay, my tip this week is going to be prepared when you're meeting with your loan officer before you have that first appointment. Gather up all your documents, your income documents, your asset documents. It's easier if you have all that up front, especially for us to make a valid pre-qualification credit decision for you. And also, as you get under contract, be prompt in giving that any conditions that your loan officer may need. Be prompt, because we want a smooth, quick transaction, and that would help you speed up the process if you come prepared to that initial appointment.
Love that. Thank you, Carol. Then next we have Rodina.
Hey guys. So my tip for today is it's going to be for sellers, which initially helps the buyers. I like to give my sellers an option, but I recommend to go ahead and do a pre-listing inspection, only because it helps our buyers have an idea of any repairs that may need to be made in the home. And a lot of times, there's wear and tear in homes, and even if the house is somewhat newer, I believe that pre-listing inspections are really important, and it helps the seller as well, because a lot of sellers waste time putting their houses on the market and going under contract, and after the inspection period, the buyer may walk away, or things, there are times that things don't always work out. So I think it is very important to make sure repairs are done and do that pre-listing inspection as soon as possible when you're able to, because it really makes a difference. It makes a big difference for buyers because they know what they're walking into, and it makes a big difference for the listing and the seller, because when it's time to sell, at least you have an actual contract, at least you have a better understanding of the process, and you have more leverage after inspection, to move forward. So that was one thing. That was one of the tips that I had.
That was a good addition. Thanks, Regina. All right, and then we've got Peter.
Hey, everybody. Thanks again, Lucy. And I just wanted to go over something that's going to be for buyers and sellers. So it's going to kind of encompass everything that we talked about today too. So if you really think about it, if you're going to do an interview process with somebody, the time that you do the interview really makes a difference. So don't wait until you have what you think you have ready to purchase a home, buy a home. Get started, get that conversation going now with your realtors. Over time, especially if you pick that realtor, they'll be able to get to know you and be able to turn around and get you in touch with the right lender and get you in touch with the right title company. That length of time that you know that person, that you're having those conversations, those deep conversations, about everything from personal preferences to your financial preferences to your home preferences, that we to get all that information together and kind of digest it so that we can help you the best way possible. That's really going to make the difference. So don't wait until you think you're ready to purchase a home to get in touch with the realtor. Just start that conversation now. Just pick up the phone, call them up, just let them know that, hey, I'm not ready to buy right now, but maybe in 12 months, maybe in 2 years, whatever that length of time is, believe me, we have a way to contact you within that time frame and keep that conversation going. I guarantee you that. So the sooner you start, the easier the process will be also. So just think of the realtors as like a relief valve on a pressure cooker. So you don't want to open up that pressure cooker until you make sure all that pressure is gone and relieved. So the more you speak with the realtor, the more pressure is going to get let off of the sale, because you're not going to be confused about whether it's this or whether it's that. You're going to have that time to sit down with them and talk to them about the ins and outs of the financials, what you're going to be paying per month, what your insurance is going to look like, what your taxes are going to look like, what your neighborhood is going to look like. And by the time you get to the sale, you're already at home. So really just get that conversation started now and later on down the road, I guarantee you're going to thank me. Even if you don't choose me as a realtor, you're going to thank me for it.
That was gold, Peter.
That was really good. And, you know, I want you guys to realize that, you know, the referrals that we're giving you for the people that we know, we've done the same thing in the interview process. Like the people that we speak to, you know, we're giving you quality people that any one of, I'm sure you guys can all agree that if you guys are recommending someone, it's because you have that relationship with them too. So, and you know that they're going to get it taken care of, which you've kind of highlighted. I just wanted to, you know, as we're telling them to interview us and make sure that, you know, we're the right fit for them, we're doing the same thing on our end. So that was all amazing. Great tips. Top tips in real estate. Love it. I love hearing from you guys each week. We're going to go into the announcement section. I know that we had a couple that had announcements. Tony, you had one, if you'd like to share it.
Not a problem. So mine's going to bore you, but this is more for any self-employed borrowers that are out there looking at homes, for realtors and the borrower themselves. So if you have a conventional loan that you're looking at Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, on Friday, they did have some changes, and they're requiring a couple other things. Due to COVID, it's still having minor effects, so it's not a ton, but a lot of times Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac now will be looking on self-employed borrowers to have an audited profit and loss statement. And if you do not have an audited profit and loss statement, you can go back to the original profit and loss statement. However, they will require 2 months most recent business bank statements to show that coming through. So unfortunately, if you do have somebody, don't get me wrong, we know a profit and loss statement half the time. When you don't have to have it audited, you can kind of make it show how you want. Tax returns do it justice. But right now they're looking for, due to COVID, the stability of that employment and income through COVID. So just keep in mind, starting the 11th of this month, that is going to be a requirement. So if you have any borrowers that are self-employed, just make sure that that is out there so they know it and you're prepared so you don't run into issues later.
Absolutely. Thank you, Tony. And Katie, you had an announcement as well?
Yeah, so I just wanted to touch on the most recent realtor update. We are doing live open houses again. We're taking the necessary precautions, but be on the lookout for those open house signs. Wear your mask if you're into that and you need to do that. Wear a mask. Don't touch anything while you're in the house. We're going to wipe everything down anyway. But there are open houses across our area in Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River County. We're excited to get back out there and get belly to belly with a little distance with those buyers that are currently in the market. So just a little update from the realtor world. We have 3 open houses this weekend on Sunday. We're looking forward to seeing people again.
Awesome. Love that. Thank you. And I actually have a quick announcement too for our page and everything. Those of you who are on here might already know, but those of you who are watching might not. We have a giveaway that we are doing. Michelle, our boss, created a book about Max, our office dog, and it is so freaking it is so adorable. Look at this. Look at, oh darn, I have to, Max finds a new home. You guys can see it for like a hot second, but it's so cute and it's so adorable. It's so cute. I can't say enough cute things about it. So we are doing a giveaway, and it's actually a human and puppy basket. So it's got some wine in there and adult treats as well as doggy treats. And I know I have a dog, so you know it's a really great thing, and it's going to have a book included in it as well. So there are a couple different ways that you can go and enter for that raffle, but it is till the end of June. And one of those ways is by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and it is in the pinned video on our page, Arrow Title Services. So check it out and subscribe to our YouTube page and get entered. There's some other ways too that you can get entered as well. So that's what I wanted to say. Thank you guys so much for watching Thursday's Top Tips in Real Estate. We will be here every Thursday at 2 p.m. to give you guys your new and tips just on the real estate industry. Every week it is a new topic. So stay tuned for what that topic will be next week. All right, you guys have an amazing week and thanks for joining. Talk to you.
Take care.